Om Shri Sairam. Welcome back to the post-lunch session of this ongoing workshop on driving economic growth, policy, pathways and industry perspectives in India's automotive sector. To begin with, we have a very special person who will be starting after my quick introduction. This is Lieutenant Colonel Vivek Bhava. He's a serving officer from the Indian Army. He belongs to the elite corps of infantry, also known as the Queen of the Battlefield. Commissioned from the prestigious Officers Training Academy, Chennai in 2007, Colonel Vivek is a battled, hardened soldier who has the distinction of having served in diverse terrains, ranging from the high altitude areas of the Gurez Valley to the dense forests in the northeast. He has been actively involved in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations, not only with his battalion, but also while being part of the Rashtriya Rifles along the line of control on the Western Front and Assam Rifles in Nagaland. He was also deployed in the eastern Ladakh sector with his battalion during the Operation Snow Leopard against China. It is indeed a matter of pride for us that the officer is an alumnus of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, High Secondary School, Brindavan and Prasanthi campus from 1998 to 2005. He is an avid musician who was part of the Institute Brass Band during his student days and one of the first students to have flown the paramotor during the sports meet of 2001, during which he had a very close experience of experiencing Bhagwan's divinity. He holds a second Dan black belt from the World Nihon Shotokan Karate Federation and is currently posted in the integrated headquarters of Ministry of Defense at New Delhi, managing an independent fleet of vehicles. The officer has been instrumental in induction of new age vehicles in the fleet, including electric cars, electric buses, and also hydrogen fuel buses. Shri Vivek Bhava will be addressing us on the topic, role of defense sector in the evolution of the automobile industry. We welcome you, Shri Vivek Bhava, brother. Sairam.
A very good afternoon to all the faculty members, staff, students, the domain experts, and my fellow panelists who have come from all over the country to participate in this workshop. While the morning session was filled with a lot of insights, deep insights into the automobile industry, and it gave us deep facets, various facets of this industry, I would be taking you back in time and walk you through some of the epoch-making inventions and innovations which have primarily been military-driven and have an impact and have had an impact in evolution of this industry, what it is today, in the global perspective. So, while I was introducing the topic, I'm sure that you all have had a look at the wide array of vehicles which have been displayed on the view foil. This happens to be the official fleet of vehicles or the portfolio that we have in the Army, and I get to use these to discharge my duties depending on the place of deployment and the tasks which I am required to execute. I'm sure some of you would definitely be envious, and if you are, then I'm happy about it. This is the scope of my presentation. I'll be covering first the importance of the vehicles to the military, and then we speak about the influence the defense sector has had so far on the development. Then some fact check, conclusion, and time for discussion if it permits. We'll be taking on a few questions. So just to remind you, this is an after lunch session. Etymology, automobile as per the lexicon dictionary, Merriam's Webster's, we don't get into that. Automobile is made by two words, Greek and Latin, And the word car again is from the Latin word carus or carum. It has got nothing to do with the karampori we had in lunch today. Moving on, importance of vehicles for the army. Now what you see here is a very, again, different places, different roles, different vehicles. The army has been given very specific tasks that is in line with the national policy and the military doctrine. Now to execute these specific tasks, we require specific resources. And these resources are in the form of vehicles or the platforms on which the vehicle mounted platforms. I'll be showing you some of the terrains or some of the places where the militaries worldwide operate. These are high altitude areas. The high altitude areas range from heights 9,000 and above. So just to give you a perspective, currently we are at 1,500 feet. So high altitude starts from 9,000 and can go up to 20,000. The highest motorable road that we have in the country is Umlingla Pass, which is something like 19,000 plus. It is a motorable road. So here 1,500 and there we are talking of 19,500. This is characterized by very low temperatures. Why I'm mentioning all this is the diverse terrain, the harsh temperature conditions, and then you get to see a variance that we have. So here you have temperatures going down to minus 50, and there are places where there are no tracks. So something like this comes into play, and where this also doesn't work, we walk. The army reaches where it is supposed to reach. So a contrast from minus 50 to deserts where you have the temperatures going up to plus 50. So it is a difference of 100 degrees. Just keep it in mind. So a soldier also functions there, and you need military grade equipment which is fit enough to be effective, whether it is minus 50 or it is plus 50. The swamps, the slush, the jungle tracks. Again, there may be tracks, there may not be any roads or tracks, but yes, you will find vehicles, again, specific for every terrain. This is the cold desert of Ladakh. This has its own peculiarities. You'll find no vegetation here. So when we spoke of deserts, there you still have those kikar or xerophytes which grow. Here, very limited. The rock surface is very different. And temperature, humidity, everything has an effect on the equipment. So again, yeah, we do get to travel on planes also. Now, coming to the importance per se. There's a saying in the army that infantry marches on stomach. It's not literally, but then it is the logistics that we speak of. When you're given a very specific task, now these tasks can be divided into three broad categories. It is operational, it is administrative, and it is training. So when the army is not at war, it is training. And whether it is at war or not, administration, which includes logistics, is a continuous process. Now for these administrative activities, as I already showed you, the different type of terrain, the different type of temperature, the different type of tasks come into play the vehicles. While it is said that a war is a soldier's delight, it is a logistician's nightmare. I must make it clear that soldier's delight does not mean that we love to fight, but should the need be there, then hell hath no fury. But in case of a war, it is a soldier who trains for a war all his life. So if the situation comes, then he's the happiest guy. But then the logistician's work starts, it is a continuous job. You're always preparing for it. But should it start, then for furtherance of ops, all operations, you need a very foolproof mechanism of a logistic chain, and the success would depend only on that. With all these things in the background, then comes the requirement. So We need fast, rugged, and reliable vehicles capable of performing under extreme conditions. So the military vehicles or the military grade vehicles and the technology is of this stature. Subsequently, what happens is, okay, first let's have a look at the mobility vehicles that we have. I would just like you to make a note of this down here, which is the general purpose vehicle, 4x4. And on the top, what you would have probably been aware so far is just of the 4x4 vehicles, but in the military we also have 12x12, 12x12 mobility. Here are some of the very specialized vehicles. Here also not spending much time on all of them. Armored recovery vehicle. To give you a perspective, the weight of a battle tank is anywhere between 45 to 60 tons. So for lifting that, you have recovery vehicles, which are very capable. You may not get to see them ever on roads, but the places where the tanks operate, the recovery vehicle has to lift a tank or is capable of lifting a tank and carry with it a complete mobile workshop for in situ repairs. So these are the kind of vehicles which have been existing and have been instrumental in the technology spillover towards shaping the today's industry or the automobile sector that we see today. Okay, with that as a brief background about the kind of vehicles that we have, and now I will be talking about what contribution the defense sector has had in different countries. So talking or going back in time, most of the developments have cropped up during the time of war. So whether it was World War I or II or even the Cold War. So every period or every era has had its own influence towards these innovations and inventions. So while it is said that war and conflicts fasten the process of innovation and inventions, it may be a little paradoxical, but let's have a look how things have evolved. The first one is a jeep. When you talk of or think of army or military, most of the times the first thing that comes to your mind is a huge lorry or a jeep or that Royal Enfield or the uniform, aviators, glasses. So everything has a military connect. Whether it was the aviator glasses, that is not part of our scope today, but yes, that also, the name aviator per se, the Ray-Bans, which you generally find the people from the military wearing, has a significance. So this Jeep, the story behind the nomenclature firstly was not Jeep, it was GP. And it was designed in just 49 days. The US military spelled out its requirements to the automobile manufacturers that we need something and it has to be done in 49 days. That's the total time you've got to work. It was successful. In 49 days, they made a working model and they called it GP. GP was general purpose. It turned out to be successful. There were very specific qualitative and quantitative requirements. So there is a difference between the vehicles which you see in the civil stream and what we have. So the qualitative and quantitative both. So those QRs are given out and then that's how the defense production takes place, whether it is the research by the automobile industry or it is by the specific organizations like the DRDO. So in 49 days, we came up with a GP, general purpose vehicle, and eventually GP, repeatedly saying Jeep is easier to pronounce. That is one. Second is, if you're aware of Popeye the Sailor, I don't know if you've read those comics, but then there is a connect between Popeye the Sailor. There is a character called the Eugene the Jeep, this animal, the yellow one. So Eugene the Jeep, as per the definition or the interesting story it goes, it is an animal which exists in the 3D world and has 4D capabilities. to solve any problem. That's why it was called the Jeep. And way back then, when this vehicle was made, Washington Post newspaper published a picture of it, and that also used the tagline, the Jeep, and GP, general purpose vehicle or the government purpose vehicle, got transformed into Jeep. And the name, the justification, whether it was from the Eugene or purpose or for the sake of pronouncing it easily, the Jeep became a legendary thing. Now, it was omnipotent. As per the QR, they wanted something which could do everything and anything. So practically, the Jeep was an omnipotent vehicle, which was made then by a company called Willys. So this was made by Willys, but then it became a legend. The capabilities which it had, it was instrumental in introducing 4x4 system to the civil stream during the war, after the war. And it was a vehicle which was awarded the Purple Heart by the US military. Purple Heart is something awarded to the wounded soldiers of the US military in war. So this vehicle was also awarded the Purple Heart. It is something like an honor. Eventually, what started with Willys Jeep, and today we have a company called Jeep. The Jeep by itself is also a brand. Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, or Jeep Compass, what you have in India, it is an American brand. So original Jeep was Willys. Now you have the legend of the Jeep which continues. So that omnipotent thing has become omnipresent now. Okay, so we move on from here. Autonomous vehicles. We've had speakers covering it in detail in the morning, how autonomous vehicles industry is evolving. But I'll give you the historic perspective. What evolution we are talking of today actually dates back to exactly 100 years from now. The process of automation or the process of making these vehicles started way back in 1920s. Motor cars were there in 1700s in the steam variant. 1800s you had the Benz, Daimler, Gottlieb Daimler, Chrysler, Maybach, all these coming in. And then 20s was an era which saw a lot of development. So the first remote control car or a remote control equipment, functional, was made by a veteran from the US Army, from the Corps of Engineers. Now, this gentleman, Houdina, he demonstrated how a vehicle could be controlled with the help of a Morse code. This was also used by the pilots. This was used by the fighter pilots as target practice. So now we have those drones which are flown, but that time they had remote controlled aircrafts which were used for actual target practice by the fighter aircrafts of the Air Force. So this is 20s that we are talking, or the wartime that we are talking of. So eventually all this was refined, and this evolved with something known as an agency called DARPA. DARPA is the Indian contemporary, if I may put it that way, of DRDO. So every military organization or every nation has got an institution which is dedicated to carrying out very specific research or very specific kind of projects. So the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency of America in 2004 started off something called the DARPA Challenge. Now this was on automation, on autonomous vehicles. So eventually the byproduct, what we have today is Tesla and Waymo. Waymo is that Google car, and Tesla, we all know the famous Elon Musk. So these are functional there. Waymo is very effective. That's what I have heard from people known. But once this background of this remote control cars and planes and vehicles evolved with the integration of sonar, radar, lidar. So all these sensors, along with the image intensifiers, night vision, everything put together in one package, along with advanced cyber aspects, automation, AI, everything in one package is called what we have an autonomous vehicle, the Tesla and the Waymo. So the first DARPA challenge took place in 2004, which did not have any winners. The prize money which the first winner got in 2007 was, I think if I remember correctly, it's 2 million US dollars. The second team got 1 million US dollars and the third one was 50,000. So the point I'm trying to make is, it has been in collaboration with the think tanks, the institutes, or the university students being involved actively to tap on to the talent. So that's how that's how DARPA, even the DRDO, we are also in collaboration in India at many levels. We have collaborations with the IITs, other premier institutes which carry out advanced research with very specific tasks and roles which are given. So here again I bring out the military connect, and today we have General Motors, which is manufacturing electric vehicles of military grade. Electric and autonomous, both of military grade. While others are also working on it, they have GM Defense, which has been a pioneer, so to say. Now next, auto transmission. We feel very happy with the evolution of the auto transmission, that it has shifted from that joystick kind of a thing to that dial. Now, if you go back in time, it is actually in 21 that we had the first auto transmission. Okay, one thing I would like to mention is that auto transmission was not a solution to any problem. So this was not an innovation, or this was not a fault finding and then trying to rectify it. It was just made. Otherwise, most of the other inventions have started with some problem which was given and then we have innovated. But in this case, it was not a solution to any problem. But with the rise in the number of vehicles, so in 20s when the industry was in picking up steam, so the number of vehicles increased, number of roads also was, the condition of the roads was being improved, the number of signals were increasing, the red lights and all. So it was difficult to drive the vehicles which we had at that point of time. So if somebody or someone of you has driven a heavy vehicle, the old heavy vehicles, they have a very hard clutch. You would have seen sometimes the drivers would use both their hands to engage the reverse gear of the state transport, old buses. So they would use their both hands, and sometimes the conductor would help. So now these tanks, which were used way back in the World War, was the first vehicle to have been inducted with auto transmission. This auto transmission initially was made by a Canadian engineer, which was not successful. It dropped the performance of the vehicle, so it had to be economical also, it had to be viable also, it had to be viable on the commercial level also, to be brought into the civil stream. But for the army, by the GM, it was General Motors, it was based on those planetary rings, the rings which you see in probably those automatic watches or many other complex machines. So it was based on that, and it made the transmission very easy. And it was for the soldiers. Now, when you talk of, just to give you a comparison again, a small car or a a full-fledged SUV, average SUV on the Indian road, the power it generates is somewhere between 140 to 180 bhp. But the horsepower a tank generates is almost more than 1000 bhp. So once you are handling a machine of that capability or raw power, so you need to control it also. So then that is how these hydromatic drive, that is what this system was called, based on the planetary rings. This was the initial diagram, and this was used in Stuart 5 tanks during the World War. This then eventually got transferred into the civil stream, and it became a status of luxury, status of, symbol of power, or having a good car. Now it is very common. So it has evolved, and now it has become a very common feature. But then historic connect again. So it came from the tanks. Next, we talk of the seat belts. Seat belts, earlier, if you remember, first time when the seat belts were made compulsory in the Indian automobile sector by the government. So people, those who had cars without seat belts, went to the market and got it attached, and it was just like a seat belt what you have in the aircraft. Later on, the cars started coming as a mandatory thing with seat belts. So the seat belts again were designed or is a fallout of an engineer who used to work with a company called Saab, which manufactures fighter jets and other jets also. So this gentleman called Niels Bolin, he worked with Saab. He was instrumental in developing this ejector seat of the, this is how an ejector seat looks like while in action. So during any adverse situation, the pilot has an option of pulling a lever which would eject him, propel him away from independently along with the seat, away from where there is a calamity in terms of a disaster which is likely to take place with the aircraft. The design of this harness, if you see, it has shoulder straps, and then it also has something around the torso, down, waist level. It holds your body snug into the seat because the pressure which is generated, so in case it is not controlled, it can have a severe impact, external as well as internal, for the human body. So this was a very successful thing made. Then eventually this gentleman was hired by Volvo in 1950s, 58. He was hired by Volvo, and the project which was given to him was to make safe and effective seat belts to reduce the casualties. So he used this as the principle, innovated on this, and eventually came up with the 3-point seat belts that you see today in all cars. So this holds the torso. It gives stability and continuity to the upper part and the lower part of the body, preventing from severe damage if the seat belt is used correctly. The good part here is Volvo did not patent it and keep the technology or the thing with themselves. They shared it with the world. They felt it was for a noble cause, must be shared, and they shared it with the world by the principle of love all, serve all. Another very interesting thing. So generally, if we spill something or there is something to be cleaned, we clean it with water. We use detergent or we use soap, we clean it and it is done. But then there can be a scenario where you require something which is exactly the other way around. So here you have something which is a spray, which is water displacement. So it is used to repel water. It was again made by NASA for NASA rockets initially, then the rockets, and then the missiles. This is the Atlas rocket, Atlas missile, and was made in this rocket chemical factory which used to make this product. And the name is called WD-40, water displacement 40, because it was made in the 40th attempt. So again, this again, I'll not go in details, but there is a very famous story of Ferruccio Lamborghini and Enzo Ferrari. Only thing I would mention about the military connect is this logo. This was from the fighter pilot called Count Francisco Baracca. He had 34 successful missions, and once he passed away, this black prancing horse was given to the Enzo Ferrari, by the mother, and this became the logo. And then comes the Scuderia Ferrari, which is the racing team. Bulletproof vehicle technology, again, you see James Bond movies or whatever, or the VVIP protectees. What started with armored vehicles, we had BRDMs, the ones with, the tanks are with tracks, BRDMs are with wheels. Then came the armored vehicles. So today all this has migrated, and you have all these dignitaries or the premiers of the countries being protected by this technology which has come. Other adaptations, again from the military era, you have the car seats for the comfort of the astronauts, which studied their body conditions in microgravity, and the car seats were designed by NASA. Same goes for TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system. It was initially in the space shuttles. going over this entire list, so the list is endless. What I have touched upon is the most relevant ones. Run flat tires, Michelin. 1930s it was made for the military. Now then came Dunlop, Goodyear. Others have also done Pirelli. And eventually 1980s it came down to the civil stream. ABS was patented in 1929 only, anti-skid braking system. So moving on, what are the implications? So if you see, we've had statistics being covered adequately in the morning session. So the GDP is how the automobile sector contributes, but I would like to draw your attention to the defense production. Defense production has also increased 174%. So if you just see the statistics here, and it is projected to cross 3 lakh crores in 2029. This is from the official release by the Press Information Bureau last week, the statistics which I've taken. So the government policies are favorable, and India has been exporting equipment to over 100 countries now. So this is the impetus which it has got through Make in India. Why I am showing this list to you is, most of them are vehicles, or they are platforms, whether you have the radar controller or the weapon locating radar, these are all mounted on vehicle platforms. So that is where the importance or the collaboration or the togetherness, jointness of the military as well as the automobile sector comes. So I conclude with, it has always been a catalyst. The defense sector has always been a catalyst for the production. The auto industry has been shaped by the R&D that goes on. And what begins in the military labs often ends in your garage. It is actually a fact. The transformation now, what has happened in the Indian Army has adopted, there are government schemes which were discussed in the morning, FAME 1, 2, 3. So the Indian Army also has adopted EVs. These are the electric buses. This is the first induction of the electric buses into the Indian Army. Beautiful buses. This is an electric car, electric gypsy. This is now what I was mentioning of DARPA and collaboration with the think tanks. So this has been made in connect with the IIT. So this gypsy is an electric gypsy. One of the first hydrogen fuel bus, green hydrogen, with the army. I leave it here. There is much more, but then we'll not get into that for the paucity of time. So if there are any questions or any add-ons, I'll be happy to take on. We'll keep it brief. Anybody, anything? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Shri Vivek Pava, brother. It was wonderful to have you. It was an eye-opener presentation, especially in terms of those defense products and the defense portfolio which you have exhibited so beautifully. Thank you for your presentation. Next, we have Mr. Aruni Kumar Mohapatra. He is a global finance professional turned battery and clean mobility entrepreneur with over 20 years of leadership experience across international banking, investments, and the energy transition sector. He's a founder of Battery IQ. It's India's first battery reliability scorecard platform for battery procurement and embedded financing, enabling transactions to be conducted with trust and transparency across the energy storage and EV ecosystem. He is also the co-founder of ActiVolt Celltech. It is India's leading homegrown battery management system and battery design company, working with country's largest telecom major and its largest automotive company. Mr. Mahapatra currently advises Nash Energy, which is India's first lithium-ion cell manufacturing company, and is also a board advisor to Saudi Arabia's first homegrown battery manufacturing initiative called Yakin Chem. His companies have worked with global OEMs and energy leaders, including Geo Platforms, Honda, Musashi Auto, Volvo Eicher, Exide Energy, and NTPC Green. Mahapatra is building innovative models in battery lifecycle management, enabling new approaches to battery leasing, risk underwriting, warranties, and green finance for electric bus and truck operations. So Mr. Aruni will be addressing us on the topic, India's EV future runs on Atmanirbhar batteries. Please welcome Mr. Aruni Mahapatra.
You know, one of my teacher used to tell me that if you have a talk, never talk after a Fauji. You know, he used to say that first they will enthrall you with their attire. You will all get smeared by it. And then they will show you visuals that you will never be able to repeat. So I have a very difficult task here, but I'll try my best. Oh, you have? But I think looking at HIP, you must be getting some visuals in your mind about Operation Sindoor, which just recently happened. But let's talk about some geopolitics. And let's not talk about war geopolitics, but let's talk about economic geopolitics. If some of you could tell me the recent events that's probably boiling for India, if anyone can just highlight some of them. Yeah, please go ahead. Just shout out. Right? Tariffs, you said tariffs? Yeah, Trump says beautiful tariffs. What else? Yeah, go ahead, please. Absolutely. So we are realigning ourselves, resetting our ties. Right, interesting. What else? Anything about Russia? Russian oil. Yeah, that's the boiling point for the Americans to jack up our tariffs, the beautiful tariffs. The reason I'm all talking about this is especially this. And also drawing one more correlation with Army, he spoke about DARPA projects. And you would be surprised to note that the most advanced batteries today, which are the lithium-ion batteries, has come out of the DARPA project in collaboration with Motorola, where they wanted some very high-performance battery communication devices, and that's how this StarTAC, the first satellite phone, came into existence. So that's again a military project. So yes, there is a lot of geopolitical involvement when you talk about batteries, and that's why I started with geopolitics. And when you talk about geopolitics, one of the most important aspect, and that's why I also raised about the Russian oils, is the energy security. And as we talk about energy securities today, we cannot actually ignore batteries in any manner. While I say that does India's future run on Atmanirbhar batteries, but it is also about the energy securities. Our Atmanirbharta is also dependent upon the energy security that we need. Anyone aware of this term called TCO? Can you talk about TCO? Anyone? All of you as well.
Full name, talk about it.
Yes.
Total cost of operation.
Yes. So the word TCO is an important aspect when we talk about different types of automotive systems, because we're also talking about battery economics. We're talking about battery finance. So the total cost of ownership, as you can see, is the total cost of owning and operating a particular automotive asset for the entire life of that asset. So as you can see that on the right-hand side, you have the diesel bus. So I've taken only for large bus and truck segments. I'm not much covering on the two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So you can run this bus for 10 years, and you will realize that the cost of buying the bus, then operating the bus by using diesel as the fuel, the insurance, the warranties, the maintenance, everything put together. When you run an EV, this is a European data, it's almost 45% lower. That's the battery economics, or that's the EV economics we talk about. The total cost of ownership is lower. And that's one of the key drivers for EV taking shape. In the morning session, we were also talking about the different types of propulsion systems. You know, we talked about the ICE engine, which is the internal combustion engine. We also spoke about the hybrid electric, the plug-in hybrid electric, and electric vehicle. Do you know which is the most efficient system amongst all three of them? And when I say efficiency, in terms of energy conversion, it's obviously EV, electric vehicle, because the loss of energy from the, when you push it from there to the wheel is only about 30%. In case of a diesel engine, it's about 80%. In case of hybrid electric, it's about close to about 60-65%. So when you have energy and you convert it into a kinetic energy, you have so much of loss in the other type of automotive sector, and that's why EV makes a lot of sense, and that is one of the reasons why government is pushing for EV for India. Because one, we can have solar for energy production, and you run electric vehicles with solar energy. That's like going to be the game changer for energy security for India. So yes, TCO is one of the key driver. Of course, green consumerism is going higher. That's another good reason why people are actually producing EVs and also buying UVs. And of course, there is a policy impetus towards that. Let's dive deep into what's the size we are talking about. Specifically on the batteries itself, only for electric bus and electric truck, we're talking about a $200 billion opportunities. I don't know what the rupee number would be, 1.17 lakh crores. I think that would be the number. Huge number. And you can look at the size of the, your own economy and look at the size of this sector investment that is being talked about. India is charting on the path of replacing 30% of their diesel buses. That's close to about $100 billion of investments. The small commercial vehicles like the Tata Ace and all the other ones that you see, we sold about 540,000 vehicles in 23. We're talking about 20% penetration over there, which requires about $25 billion of investments. E-trucks, only a 10% of the total e-trucks which are, or trucks which are there on the road today. If they change, it requires $75 billion of investments. And then ports and other places too. But what is the key challenge? We are the third largest auto market in the world. We target to have 30% electric vehicles on the road. 40% of each of those vehicles on the road, or almost about 50%, half of it is going to be batteries. And what's happening with that? Today, 88% of our oil is imported. 75% of the batteries and a lot of other EV components are also being imported. So can we really become Atmanirbhar without owning our own battery future? That's the moot point. Let me deep dive into batteries a little further. It's not just electric vehicles. As I started by saying that the energy security itself is going to be dependent upon batteries, it is also about your solar on one side, and these days we are also talking about the round-the-clock energy supply with renewable energy. How do you do round-the-clock energy supply with renewable energy? With batteries. So today, all the tenders from all the government tenders which are coming for solar are all coming with 4 hours of battery supplies, 8 hours of battery backups, and 24 hours of battery backups. What it does is, it increases the amount of, or the volumes of battery that is going to be required. From about 20 gigawatt hour in 2022, in 8 years, we're talking about 11 times increase in the total battery requirements. Bulk of it is EVs, but the green one that you're talking about is stationary storage and consumer electronics as well. The stationary storage is nothing but the battery energy storage system that is like a container which powers through solar, and then it gives you electricity when you require it, round the clock. Now with this kind of increase, let's run some numbers. Do you know what is the import bill of India? Annual import bill for oil. Let's be specific about oil. It's $161 billion per annum. Gas, $15 billion more. Coal, another about $2 to $3 billion more. So we're talking about 180 billion. That's probably about 30% or 40%. You can run the numbers. You're all economics students. What's the import bill, which is obviously creating the current account deficit? Of course, we were surplus last year, but that's obviously a big drag on our economy, right? So when we talk about this number, with 220 gigawatt hour required as batteries, imagine everything is imported. Run with $125 per kilowatt hour number, you'll reach somewhere close to about $35 billion of import bill. So are we really actually, let's say, becoming more and more energy secured, or again moving into this direction of energy being transmitted to someone else who is building batteries for you. That's where this battery revolution, where are we actually producing or leading those battery revolutions, or are we becoming just the consumer of batteries? This is actually, you guys are aware of the solar revolution that happened about 15, 20 years back. We started importing a lot of these solar panels. None of this. We all said that we have gone into the solar revolutions, a lot of solar panels being used, modules being done. We were just assembling those solar panels and just consuming those energy. So we have never been a producer of those energy, we've only been a consumer of that energy. And again, we are falling into that trap, and that's where I think we have a wake-up call here, and I'm talking more deeply about it. We have a 75% concentration risk of this supply chain with China. The cells are the building block of a batteries, the battery cells that we talk about, the lithium-ion cells. 75% is controlled by China. They have gone further ahead. The material that comes into it, the cathode, the anode materials, the refining materials, they have about 90% of supply chain with them. The separators, they have pretty much everything around that. What is the implication? I think one of the clear implications is the FX, the foreign exchange volatility that we see from time to time. But then China also has the price setting power. It can just switch off your supply at any point in time if you do not have the batteries. Of course, they all belong there. You never know where there are Trojan horses of some software malwares inside them. You'll never know that. Of course, they have, and recently another geopolitical event that you would have heard about is China stopped the critical mineral exports. They're only saying that we only give you the products, but not the materials. And that those kind of export controls can come in picture. West is moving ahead. US is actually moving ahead. They are signing a lot of these MOUs with Bolivia and a lot of these South American countries, and then signing off these, and they are getting the first track of whatever the OEMs are building those batteries, they're getting it. However, India is just getting the leftovers of those batteries. The quality of the batteries, you can talk to some of these OEMs representatives who are sitting over here. The quality of the batteries is a key concern over here. Now, again, I won't dwell deeper into all of these, but I guess I've already made this point. What is the implication for us as far as not investing into the battery technology is concerned? I have now clearly established, and you would right now know, that batteries have become the new economic backbone. It is driving the industrial growth for energy securities as well as climate goals. So it won't be an overstatement to say that batteries are the new oil barrels of the 21st centuries. Government is not sitting behind. Let's give some credit to the government. They have actually gone a three-pronged approach in this sector. One, on the raw material side, they have identified 30 critical minerals, and battery materials are part of it, like the lithium, the cobalt, the nickel of the world. And it is, they have incorporated a company called as Kabil. I don't know how Kabil they are, but that's the name. So they have got this for acquiring critical materials. And again, they are going after this Chile, Bolivia, Argentina, and trying to get those materials refined and bring it directly into India. India has also got some lithium reserves that you would have heard in the news last year, somewhere near Srinagar, Kashmir, and those areas. Then on the demand side, they have targeted a 30% penetration of of new sales of the EVs by 2030. And they are aggregating all the demands together, and through all the subsidy schemes that you have already heard about. On the supply side as well, there is a PLI schemes. Unfortunately, those PLI schemes for batteries have not taken any shape. There was close to about 20,000 crores allocated for the advanced cell chemistry technologies, but none of them, of course, 5 players who bid it, including Ola, Reliance, and all of them. None of them went into any production till now. They have not filled in even a single cell out of those schemes. Going further, and what's the problem for the new player? Of course, there are some players who have jumped in without taking the subsidies also, but there is a large amount of trust deficit that remains for the Indian battery makers. The OEMs like the TVS and the Volvo Aishas, and maybe even Maruti might be talking about that, hey, we don't trust your batteries. because we always work for the established players. So what do we, the small guys who are making batteries in India, do? So there is a high degree of procurement risk that the major OEMs are highlighting for the Indian battery makers. Warranty uncertainties. They would say that the Indian battery makers will run out of business. What do they do? So obviously they want a very strong warranties on a back-to-back basis through which the OEMs will be able to apply. Then you have the financial bottlenecks where banks are not willing to give a very high rate of return or lower interest rate for the loans which are for electric vehicles, whereas for ICE engine vehicles, it is much better. They are willing to give 95% financing for vehicle financing in case of ICE engine, but when it comes to electric vehicles, in most cases, it goes down as low as only 80%. So 20% somebody else has to put in. Obviously, you as a consumer will be paying more for that. And that is actually making the cost of Indian batteries higher and also has a slower adoption in this case. Now let's again talk about geopolitics. You have heard about Quad? Anybody? Let's make a Quad for our batteries. So you cannot have just the supply chain risk being averted and just make batteries and everything will be all right. That's not the approach that we can take. So we need that Quad for our battery ecosystem. Let's talk about those 4 pillars of the ecosystem. Technology comes number 1. You have to build your homegrown battery management systems, the pack design, especially in the high voltage segment. When I say high voltage, it is actually your trucks and buses. I hope it is not becoming too technical for you guys, but I guess bear with me, probably the second last slide. Then the manufacturing. The cell manufacturing is the key. We need to bring in, PLI hasn't worked, but we need to think out of the box. We really need, the time is running out. Let me say it very clearly. You need new financing model. The financing model of the current systems may not work for the electric vehicles because they have been time tested for the ICE engine vehicles. You need battery leasing or a vehicle leasing. Have you seen those battery swapping stations in the, on the metro station, near the metro station? That's a new form of actually selling the electric vehicles. You buy the vehicle, swap the battery, pay as you go. You just pay for the kilometers. That's an innovative way of actually adoption of the batteries. You need those things to come in, even for trucks and buses. And with Volvo Eicher, we're trying to build a system where the bus operators or the bus owners will just buy the bus, and we will just supply the batteries to them. As like how you pay for the fuel, you will be paying for the batteries over the life of the assets. Then comes the policy pathways. Demand incentives are there. Let me give you an anomaly in the GST sector for the batteries. Somebody spoke about in the morning, when you buy an electric vehicle, you pay 5% GST. You guys are aware of GST, right? I'm assuming, yeah. But when you buy just the batteries for the same EV, you pay 18% GST. Now that's an anomaly. So if I do a battery leasing, I pay 18% GST, but if I just do EV, that is only 5%. So how are you going to bring batteries in the fore by not incentivizing somebody actually moving and transitioning into the battery sectors? So these are some of the anomalies and some of the critical pathways that the government will have to solve for. So obviously, again, I'm making the point very clear that the one who is going to control the battery in the current ecosystem globally is going to control the transportation, the energy, and also will fulfill the climate goals. So I think it is time that we start producing those batteries and not just be a consumer. We need to lead on the battery innovations and not just follow, and build an ecosystem where India owns the technology, minerals, and recycling loops of these batteries, and not just be only a single frog approach for this. If the 20th century was powered by oil and gas, the 21st century will be powered by batteries. India's destiny is not to import them, but to produce and lead the world. Thank you, Sairam. Do we have time for questions? Yes, please. Yeah, at the back.
Saram, the objective of getting electric vehicles or batteries is to further sustainability, right?
Yes.
So what if we produce the electric vehicles and at the same time to power them, we generate electricity through using coal and non-renewable resources.
Yes.
So then the entire, objective of getting these EVs will be undone, right? So what is your take on that? And what do you think, how do you think India can actually shift away from non-renewable resources to renewable resources, producing electricity?
Yeah, very pertinent question. Very, very good question. In fact, that's actually one of the questions that is revolving around in the public policy circuit. And they are worried about the fact that you may bring in EVs, but then if you are powering it with thermal plants and coal, it defeats the purpose. It has to, but let me put it that way. And that's one of the points that I also made, that climate is not the only goal why you need EVs. You need EVs for a lot of other things. You need EVs for industrial progress. The ancillary MSMEs, the SMEs, that industries that get developed in this sector is going to be phenomenal. The employment generation is going to be huge. It is easy to use artificial intelligence for EV sector than for ICE engine, because one is a mechanical system, one is an electronic system, which is much more tuned to the softwares. Then there are other goals too. The criticality of the energy security for having the solar with round-the-clock power. That's what I was explaining you, that now government is planning that all the new solar plants which are going to come with a tender are going to have batteries as a storage systems. That's the only way you will be able to use it at night. Now imagine you want to use an EV at night right on the highway. How will you be able to use it without if you want to be in renewable energies, you will have to store that power in larger batteries, which are as big as the container loads, the 40-feet containers, the kind of buses and trucks that you saw. There'll be huge number of those on the roads, and they will dispense through a charger to your vehicles on the road. So that is one of the new innovations that India can have. China cannot have this. They don't have that kind of sunlight that that we will be able to have because of the yield generations for the solar that we have. We have a vast coast of wind energy through the coastal base that we have. So slowly or steadily, you will see that there is a transition, and that is what is called as energy transition that is happening in this sector, where from the fossil fuel, we are moving to the clean energy. As that balance keeps shifting over the time, you will start seeing that even if you're charging your electricity, the portion of that electricity powered by the weighted average coal as well as from diesel will reduce much lower, and the renewable energy will be much higher. I hope I have answered your question. Please go ahead.
So coming to the EV trucks, the penetration into the Indian market will be kind of difficult, since even though you showed the graph that it's pretty like 45% reduction in the cost of maintaining it, but then generally the Indian truck drivers, let's say most of them are privately owned, not company based, so they would prefer, since the cost of buying a EV truck would be like way higher than any diesel powered trucks. Also, so they would prefer initial investment will always be lower to them. They wouldn't really go seeing the future.
Yes.
Another one other thing is that they have to travel long distances. Let's say from probably south to the northeast, and probably charging such for charging the trucks in between would take a long time, a layover for them. So where they will be losing profits, I mean, they would prefer to save time as much as they can. So how are you
Yes.
looking to?
Yeah, again, a very good question. I think you guys are thinking kinds. I think you're already thinking of the problems and the challenges that the EV sector is already facing. But let me tell you one thing. First, you have to sign up for saying that EV is the future, and you have to make it happen. That's number one. Of course, you may say that the customer will choose, but it makes economic sense for the country as a whole to be EV-centric and not any other diesel or ICE-centric because of the energy security and other geopolitical advantages. Have you guys heard about BYD as a company? BYD, right? did you notice that there was a news about, I think 2 months back, about a 5-minute charge? Yeah. So the new technology for the batteries, which are moving on, is for the fast charging. And what is going to happen in about 5 to 6 years' time, when you'll start seeing them actually on the road, that the charging time will reduce from currently 1.5 hours to about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's as good as charging it, while you're, going to the petrol pumps. So that's one of the way you will be able to probably change the dynamics of this game by having fast charging infrastructure across in a long period. So even if your batteries cannot run from there, in fact, even today, diesel cannot run from Kanyakumari to Kashmir on one go. They go to the petrol pump, they fill the petrol. So that's exactly how this is going to happen in the fast charging. I was also going to a step further and saying that to do the fast charging, you will have a lot of these solar modules, solar farms behind on the highway, which will be pushing those power into these fast charging centers into batteries, and that will be charging your trucks and buses.
One more last question in the interest of time.
Again, sir, that the charging stations also, I'm just gone through small research about charging station. That AC charger is like a very small cost, but DC chargers are infrastructure is very big, and the cost also very high comparatively AC chargers.
True.
So definitely the infrastructure will not take place now.
Right. So you have to go deeper into the technology piece of it, but I'll halt here. We can have a sidebar discussion on this. But there is a way to solve all of these questions. But I just want you guys to sign up for saying that EV is the future, and the battery is something that we need to be developing our own and not importing them. That's about it. Thank you so much for your time.
We thank Mr. Aruni Kumar for taking us through the economics of batteries and also the EV value chains, and also the importance of these critical materials and also battery revolution. And as he rightly said, these are the new oil barrels of 21st century, which needs to be given enough emphasis in terms of getting the automotive sector into the next level. And also the quad network, quad ecosystem, which he mentioned, really helps in terms of sustainability of bringing this sector to the best possible scale. Next we have Preeti Ranjan Satyadeep, DGM, Digital Products, TVS Motor. Mr. Preeti Ranjan is an experienced professional with over 16 years of demonstrated history of successful product management, digital strategy and transformation, presently driving the digital and AI products team for the commuter business at TVS Motor. He is a winner of Economic Times Human Capital Awards 2024 for adoption of digital and AI and the innovative use of it for effective management and consistent outcomes in the social sector. He is an MTech in computer science from SSSIHL. He studied from the primary school class 1 to MTech, KG to PG at SSHI schools and our institute at Prasanthi Nilayam. He completed his MBA from IIM Bangalore with interests technology and operations strategy and strategic leadership. He's a strong believer in being agnostic to platforms to deliver empathetical digital and AI solutions that solve business problems and bring customer delight. Mr. Preeti Ranjan will be addressing us on the topic Digital and AI, its empowering effect. Thank you. We welcome Mr. Preeti.
Sairam, everybody. Pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet, revered elders, dear brothers and sisters who have joined from across the campus. Thank you, Prabhakar, for the introduction. While I was listening to all the speakers throughout the day, right from Rumki to Naruni brother, in that course, I have somehow jotted down new thoughts. So I will not stick to script, which I had prepared. I'll take a cue from where Aruni brother started. We need to accept that we want to do something about being electric first and build that ecosystem. TVS Motor is testimony to that. Years when we were borrowing technology from the Japanese, going into collaborations, we broke away from Suzuki in 2000, decided we'd build our own capabilities in the two-wheelers, in building four-stroke. And then all of us knew TVS Victor. It was victorious, but that was not the end. We may follow a similar turn of events when we do with batteries. We may have initial success, but then there would be a downturn. There would be for us to believe that we need to do something for our country. And today, having built the R&D muscle, the customer centricity through homegrown market research, best-in-class product quality, adopting TQM principles from the Japanese for our context. We may have batteries elsewhere, we may have technologies elsewhere, but adopting it for our context, getting to do what we have here and building it, so that belief that we can do something is important. Today, across the markets that we operate, Raju brother told in the morning, we are number one. People don't go for a Japanese four-wheeler or for a Chinese four-wheeler. They ask for a TVS and a Bajaj. Why? That was possible only because of that focus and the belief that you have to build something on your own. As a philosophy for TVS Motor, while these give the company as a whole, the philosophy was always to give more than what is taken. When you build a motorcycle, if you pay 70 rupees, you must get value for 100 rupees. When you, long before sustainability was the buzzword or fashionable, TVS Motor Company and many of the group companies had it at their heart of every operation. A large portion of our factories are green. We have a whole migratory bird setup and a sanctuary inside our factory. So you have to have some things that are self-imposing because you believe in them. And that's what makes you special, that's what makes you shine. That's what will make our country more special. From the morning, you all have been hearing about technology, geopolitics, large economic issues that power and affect our industry. I would take you to how Rumki touched on it, saying that the adoption of digital and AI in our workforce is very huge, very fast. And there is a reason for it. Because of our young demography, and because all of us are savvy, digital and AI in TVS Motor, if you consider it that it's being used for manufacturing, IoT, robotics, predictive maintenance, fail-proof system, digitally enabled supply chains, logistics, etc. I think many of you will be aware of that side. But one side that will not come very easily to all of us is how we empower every individual in the company to use digital and AI, how we empower our vendors, how we empower our people in the dealerships. That's very important. And today, I'll bring some perspective to that in my talk. What makes mapping the customer journey digitally very important? Having the customer centricity, we empathize when we build the solutions. We believe that technology is for everyone, the dealer salesperson, the service engineer, the dealer owner. Now I'll go to when we do service in the villages. The village development officer, the community development officer, the ex-government official who is working with us to serve in the villages. Everyone is enabled with technology. So if you look at, people are saying they have made up their mind when they're coming to purchase. You do website, you shop, you understand everything, you come, you go to social media, and you find out what you want to buy. Then you go into a dealership. Now imagine you go into a dealership already knowing what you want to buy, you've made your studies, and the dealership staff is not able to give you that continuity, right? So today in our systems, our dealer personnel is already equipped with what you have done before when you come into the dealership. I have checked out Radar, our product Radar's price. I have spent last 2 days a lot of inquiries on finding out iCube. So when that person is looking at you when you give him your mobile number, he knows whatever inquiries you've made at call center, whatever browsing you've done, to give you the first experience that, sir, I know you are checking out Radar, but you are confused between Radar and buying electric. What do you want? And how do you make that lively conversation with the customer in a dealership with a person who is getting 12 to 15,000 rupees salary? The dealer sales executive does not get more salary than that. So the product you build, in the end it is on the mobile, must be empathetic towards him, must be for him to understand very easily. Like I used to say when I worked for 5 years building applications for the social sector, that if a person who is 55 years old is able to use WhatsApp, but if you have to give your application and that person needs to go through a training manual, then your application is of no use. How is he able to use WhatsApp so easily? What was the empathy provided there? What was the ease provided there? That someone is able to use your digital tool, able to use your AI tool. So when we build out solutions for our dealership staff, it should be so easy that you should not even give them training. Click for here, click here. It should be so intuitive. So that's our focus in enabling them. When it comes to the buying, you have dealership finance, quotation, delivery, all that is also digitally powered. You try to bring in transparency of pricing to build trust. Today, each of our customer, ask any two-wheeler, even ask four-wheeler, they will not get a digital quotation in their WhatsApp or in their email the moment they have left the dealership. Go to a TVS dealership, complete transparency in pricing. You will get a digital quotation, 100%. So when we want to be Atmanirbhar, when we want to do things for ourselves, we have to solve our problems. So that's the key. Again, after ownership, we talked about the pre-owned cars. We are into even owned bikes with the new company DriveX. So mapping the entire customer journey into digital solutions, and while those digital solutions are there, at every point, the person who is interacting with the customer is able to know what he has done in the past, what is his choices. That's what enables our work with each of our customers. Just explaining you the touch points where we are using AI. All the green ones are where we are using AI in the entire customer journey. When you do digital campaigns, you do other stuff on SEO, you get people to give their details to you. Based on what they have done in their web history, you will provide them finance or you will provide them features. So it is personalized using AI models. When someone calls you, seeing your Google My Business pages, we have AI bots answering them if the dealer is not able to answer. All those calls are recorded. They are extracted, and what information is necessary is then pushed into what we call the accelerator, where there is a Gen AI tool which gives the recommendation or the 5-minute pitch, 30-minute pitch that can be made. So entire value chain, when you build digital solutions, AI is built at the core, understanding and empathizing with what is necessary for the customer. This is largely that whole chart put into a table where we are using AI. We have hyper personalization of the website so that you get a different experience. Each of your customer gets a different experience. Personalized win-back campaign. Someone is trying to book, you personalize offers for him by knowing what he's doing. Omni-channel nurturing, you use voice bots, Gen AI chat bots You classify all our leads using AI classification engines. So that's the way we are powering the sales force who is a simple graduate, who is a person who wants to do a conversion and get his incentive. So lot of my work, like even yesterday I was at 4 dealerships across Bangalore, is to understand what is their pain point. And if we are self-reliant in that, and if we believe that we can build solutions for our folk, we'll be able to do it, be it in such things, or be it in batteries, or be it any challenge that we take. These are just more depth into what we do. I'll come into the side of TVS Motor, where technology is used even to do social work. You all know of Venu Srinivasan sir. He ardent devotee of Bhagwan, and me, Ranganath Raju, many of us have got employment in that company because he believes in this value system of education. And he's taken Swami's work to around 2,500 villages. And all this data that you see here, all this work that is able to be collated, the impact studies, the way you are able to target which women you want to do is all foundational on data. TVS Motor is a very data-hungry company. Raju will agree to that. You go to anybody for anything, where is the data? So even for our social work, I'll show a typical day. Data in the social sector is difficult, right? Because it is cumbersome to collect and analyze. You have to be driven by heuristics. You'll have to understand. And the professionals who are working in that sector, the person who is working in the village, serving the community, and the dealer's sales executive in a rural showroom have the same skill set. So if you are expecting them to do magic without being empathetic in their solutions, you cannot do. So they have a low competency in managing data. The complications must be solved by us through our systems and products. I'll just take you through a typical day, how we use TQM, even in social work. Each of our field staff, be it in our village or be it in our sales force who does our sales, they plan a journey cycle for the month. Okay? They visit the village, they take a snapshot of what's happening. They capture, you will not believe, they capture text through voice. They just press this thing and speak what's happening in the village. I visited this SHG, that is what is happening. They don't need to key in data like you give 400 fields to drop down and pick. Then your solution is not empathetic, right? They just key into that and all that information is used. After that, they go visit all this, they have a review meeting, they go to veterinary camps. All these things that you read here is powered by data, and that too in a village, and through a simple mobile phone. And the back-end complexities are handled by our systems. So same thing. This is there for our business, but this is there for our social work. That's what I wanted to highlight. How to do social work in the right way with data, with the right target audience. That's something that's innovation here, right? Similar with any of the things that you take up. You all are students of economics. What do you do with data? You try to explain a phenomena, right? You try to build a model. You want to see data and you see if that phenomena is working in that same way. That's all that matters. But ensure you capture the right kind of data. Ensure that you don't overlook. Ensure that your data is what we call pakka, and there are checks and balances so that have the right data. Yeah. Thank you, Sairam. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We deeply thank Shri Pritiranjan Satyadeep for taking his time and taking us through the digital landscape which they have adopted in TVS Motor. It has a technology side and the empathy side, where first preference is given to the customer and then helping the customer through the technology, through AI, which is really commendable. And also the work done by SST, Srinivasan Services Trust, that's something which we all can look up to and which we need to emulate from. Thank you for your wonderful insight, Sairam. Next we have Krishnam, the DGM and national lead at Volvo Eicher. Krishnam is an automobile management professional with over 16 years of experience in commercial vehicle industry, which we call as CV, commercial vehicles. He's an alumnus of SSIHL and has built his career through key roles at BEML, which is Bharat Earth Movers Limited, Tata Motors, and for past 11 years at VE Commercial Vehicles Limited, which is a joint venture between Volvo and Eicher in India. His expertise spans retail and institutional business, strategy development, and product management within CVs. He works cross-functionally with project management, product development, supply chains, production, finance, and legal functions, which is a 360-degree view of the business. Currently, Krishnam serves as a strategic leader and national head for electric buses at VE Commercial Vehicles, which is Volvo Eicher. His responsibilities include business development, sales, operations, charging infrastructure, and government partnerships for LRIG buses in India for Volvo and Eicher brands. Krishnam is dedicated to advancing sustainable change and growth of electric mobility in India, with a strong focus on promoting human dignity and safety in public transportation. Mr. Krishnam will be addressing us on the topic Trends in Commercial Vehicles. We welcome Krishnam. Sairam.
It's normal mic.
My most loving pranams at the lotus feet of our Bhagwan. Dear faculty members, elders, sisters and brothers, a loving Sairam to one and all. So in my professional journey, I am always given tough projects. And I used to wonder why. So today, the last session, after hostel lunch, before Ganesh Visarjan, I was thinking my organization only gives me such projects, but I am at my university too. Yeah. So I thought of, why should I give you some presentation, and why should I give you a presentation but not interact with you and give you some basics about how a commercial vehicle industry works and what are the impacts directly on the economy. So first of all, I'll give you a perspective on partnerships and what is Volvo Eicher. So first of all, Volvo globally, while it is a Swedish company, operates in 5 different partnerships across globe. Volvo Trucks and Buses is the core company. Then we have Mack Trucks, UD Trucks, Renault Trucks, and Eicher. So these are global partnerships which Volvo does across the globe. So coming back in India, Volvo Eicher has got 3 functions to do. The first is a partnership with Eicher Motors, which is a typical old company which used to manufacture tractors. But the tractor business is now with Massey Ferguson. We manufacture Eicher branded trucks. Volvo trucks, we only manufacture, sell and service. We do not develop them. Volvo buses, we develop, we manufacture but sold under the Volvo brand. But we are complete custodians of the facility, men, materials, everything. Eicher Group also has a business of motorbikes, Royal Enfield, which is manufactured at Chennai. So this was about Volvo Eicher, just wanted to give you a perspective. But before I go further and tell you what trucks are, what buses are, let me give you a perspective of how this commercial vehicle business runs in India. So we had good speakers from cars, two-wheelers, and now I'll give you a perspective that why commercial vehicles are actually different. First of all, if sir wants to take a car, it is his choice. I want infotainment system, I want AC, non-AC, sunroof, color, X, Y, Z. If you want to take a scooter, you have a choice. I want a TVS, I want a Bajaj, I want something. But while you take a commercial vehicle, it is a vehicle which you take for employment generation and economic use. You do not take truck for your own consumption, right? Except for a few cases, amongst lakh. You take truck to transport goods from point 1 to point 2. Is it good to go? You do not take a bus for leisure. Once in a while, those vans for, celebrities go. But normally a bus is taken to ferry passengers so that you can generate some money or income and sustain your business. Good? My question, for purchasing a two-wheeler or a car, where do you go? To a showroom, right? We call it a dealership, right? Commercial vehicles, it is the other way around. We, professionals, we go to the customer's place and everything happens here. Is it interesting? Do you think a big truck owner will come to my dealership and say, sir, ek truck de dena? We do keep trucks. We do keep, understand the perspective, very different perspective. They are big owners, they are transporters. We go to our customers. Why? Everyone. Why? I'm talking of trucks. I'm not talking of small commercial vehicles, Tata Ace. I'll come down to that. Who can purchase a two-wheeler? My question. Who can purchase a two-wheeler? Any license holder. Good to go. And any household, right, sir? Who can purchase a car? Whosoever is thinking so and has the means to purchase that, or aspires so, getting a finance or something. Who takes a commercial vehicle? Do you think everyone can take? Ki aaj Mr. Arun is there, he takes, chalo, aaj ek truck kharite hain. Does it happen that way? How does it happen? You should, no transport license. You should have a business surrounding that. So there are set of customers who are predominantly defined in the market. 95% market is defined that trucks, buses, these guys will take. A new company is there, they're only 5% growth. Are you with me? So that means my manpower knows where to go and where to approach. The problems are very different. The challenges are different. But I'm going to give you a perspective that how this business runs. Total cost of ownership. While you take a car, Maruti is giving you a mileage of 15.1 and another brand of car is giving you a mileage of 14.9, but the features which you need are there in the car, which is at 14.9, which is low mileage. Which one will you take? Low mileage also will go, right? Trucks and buses, it doesn't happen. It is for wealth generation. So what happens is, customer sees total cost of ownership. What is total cost of ownership? Simple steps. For how much I am procuring it? What will be my efficiency? What is the cost to maintain the vehicle? Cost of maintenance? Last, very important. What is the resale value? A resale value of a Maruti Suzuki is far higher than if you take any other car like maybe Renault or something in India. A TVS has got a higher resale value if you take, for example, an Ather today. It doesn't have a high resale value, right? With me? So the total cost of ownership, I promise you, I'll talk to sir, I want to spend a day with students that how we calculate and how do we make a balance sheet of total cost of ownership. And how we'd go about it actually. With me? So this is the basic difference of what happens in a commercial vehicle industry as well as in a typical two-wheeler, three-wheeler space. Now, another thing you want to understand is someone asked the question, sir, trucks, if they want to, migrate to electrics, what will happen? For anything, wherever, in whichever field of profession you work with, go a bit granular. I'll give you the example. Volvo Eicher's market share, Brother Raju shared, was 9%. I'll tell you what we did. We are the second largest manufacturer of buses last year. We are the first largest manufacturer of light and medium duty trucks till date. But we are very bad in heavy duty trucks. We are the third. But still Mahindra is at number 2. Why? Because Mahindra's manufacture small commercial vehicles which contributes to much of the market. What are those small commercial vehicles? Boleros. Boleros, the sale is 64% of all the vehicles sold in that category. No one is able to make a kill. I was in Tata Motors, we did a lot of projects with Accenture, this and that, but still we struggle to kill a Bolero. Why? Total cost of ownership. You procure, you run, you resell, everything is fantastic. I'm not promoting a brand. Let us look at the market reality, right? If you come for an Eicher truck, 18, 19 tons truck. So we used to partnership with a company called as Mitsubishi, and our truck was called as Canter. Our mileage is the best. No one can beat ever. So customer goes for that product. Are you with me? Okay. So the perspective is this, that you need to see the market granularly. So what happens in trucks first, there is a hub and spoke model. Big trucks, they operate intercity, right? North to south, east to west. Small trucks, they take the material from 2 shorter distances, Jaipur, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore. Very small trucks, they largely operate within the city. Are you with me? Another category is mining and road construction. Very different category, heavy tippers, very small distance to cover, they operate in a zone. With me? Now, what happens is, if mining is going down, this category gets affected, the logistic movement gets affected. Production is going down, logistic movement gets affected, and this category of trucks, the bigger trucks, the sales starts falling. But if FMCG is going good, if other things are going right, smaller truck sales sustains. Simple thumb rule. I'll not talk of trucks beyond this because it will bore you and bore me too. Because I'm a bus man typically, so buses is my favorite subject. I'll come down to buses, electrics, and what are the economic aspects related to what is happening in the industry, related to regulatory compliance, and what is driving economy these days, of various schemes also we can talk about. So, what are the trends? So what was happening in buses was, or commercial vehicles was, we were selling the truck or bus and we were servicing the truck or bus. Are you with me? The trends changed. Niti Aayog told government that for public transport, we should not own buses. KSRTC, APSRTC, BMTC, XYZ, we should not own buses. This is not our job. What is our job? Our job is to give service to the people. What should we do? We should lease the buses. This process is called as gross cost contracting. Public-private partnership on a broader scale. That means someone gives me a bus for 10 to 12 years. I should give him the service, I should collect the money and give him on a per kilometer basis, broadly. Yeah? Now came the electrics. Why this model was different for us? Now government mandated that the OEM should participate in such requirements, specifically for the schemes which were taking to the roads. For example, there are 2 schemes which are running from Government of India for promotion of electric buses for cities. One is PM E-Bus Seva and one is PM E-Drive. There are 2 schemes. Currently, we are executing an order of around 1,000 buses for PM E-Bus Seva. PM E-Drive has recently come. It is bringing 10,900 electric buses, out of which 4,500 are only for Bangalore, 2,000 for Hyderabad. Such a big scale. Now, while this happens, I'll give you a perspective of just an account from the accountant perspective also. You know what is depreciation? Simple depreciation. You depreciate an asset over a lifetime. But what happens is a businessman also sees a tax benefit out of it. Now, if I deploy a bus today and I have a contract of 12 years, please understand the type of depreciation which is coming. And Brother Aruni will relate to this. A battery typically changes between 5th and 6th year. Thumb rule, 5th and 6th year a battery changes of a vehicle. And battery constitutes about 40% of the vehicle cost. So the vehicle gets depreciated in 12 years with me, but the battery gets depreciated 2 times. Till 5th year, from 5th to 12th year, or 6th to 12th year. Is it so? The challenge is, while you offer the costs upfront, you need to have the cost of the battery which you will replace after the 6th year. That means you are playing blind on what is going to happen in future. So the risks are actually mounting. So what was happening was, people like us were not getting money from the government. And we started complaining to the government that, sir, you are asking us to execute a contract worth thousands of crores, but you are not giving us the money on time. How should we survive without the working capital? So the government got a scheme called as PSM. Please do read about these schemes. They are available on internet. They are very, very forward-looking schemes. PSM, Payment Security Mechanism. It is on the lines of a scheme from solar called as SECI. What this scheme tells is, if I have done a contract with government A, and if he doesn't pay me on time for a particular period of time, central government of India and RBI will pay that money to me so that I am secured, and opens up a credit line with the government. So the government gets penalized. Something interesting happening in the market. This is one from the policy front. From the policy front, 2, concessionaires. So we were selling and maintaining vehicles. These are long-term concessionaires, 12 years contracts. We were never habituated to that, right? Who was habituated to it? Railway contracts, infrastructure contracts, solar contracts. Yes? Have you heard of these 25-year PPAs and all that stuff? We never knew it. What is changing? The owners are changing now. How? In buses, you know who is coming? Not the typical operators, Padikal Travels, Sharma, Lakshmi Holidays, Prasanna Purples and all that stuff. You know who is coming? GMR, Adani, Reliance, and alternative investment funds. Have you heard of a bus called as NewGo? Green Cell Mobility, NewGo, one of our partners. These big alternative investment funds are now coming in India and investing into buses for long-term contracts. So what you will see in next 5 to 6 years, I am not, so this is not official, but City X will be operated by a bus operator who is a big industrial venture, maybe Adani's, Ambani's, GMR's, XYZ, a organized player operating a bus operation in a city, rather than XYZ small-time operator operating a bus service in a city. So this is changing the dynamics of risk as well as the business environment for the country in electrics. I'll come down to the intercity portion also, but 2 things are happening in parallel. One is geopolitics. I was telling sir also, what has happened is government has launched 2 schemes. Please do read about these 2 schemes also. PMP, Phased Manufacturing Program, and PLI for auto sector. PLI is Production Linked Incentive Scheme. I'll just broadly tell you how do these work in 2 lines. In Phased Manufacturing Program, what government says that for a typical vehicle, if it costs you 1 crore, your local content contribution should be at least 60%. With me? Now, while you have to build a local content, you need to have local vendors. So people have set up shops here. Maybe people from abroad, they have set up shops here. Very big names, TM4s, Danas, Octillions, very big names. Now to get the localization, The word is localization, right? You need to get raw material from China. And China has stopped rare earth materials. Now what is happening is we are not getting the material from China. We are not allowed to import a complete item from China, supply chain, but we have to be localized, in fact, to stay relevant. The government is actually thinking about it. A new concept is going to come, but these are the challenges where geopolitical situations actually will ruin our dreams and our goals in future, if at all we don't get sustainable in motors, batteries, and other stuff. So it is a 360-degree system. I'll give you a real-time example. I'm servicing an order of 1,000 units of vehicles. I get involved from supply chain and till the production and the end. My battery and, Brother Aruni knows, my battery stock and motor stock is exhausted. And we are just waiting when Prime Minister Modi will come back and we'll have some good news. And it's not a joke. And someone else has kept 1,000 crores for us. See the irony, how the market revolves. So these are the dynamics of geopolitical, local, demands that which need to go hand in hand. These problems are very, very transitory. So don't go by the problems or don't feel negative about what is happening, but this is how the entire economy will actually evolve. Second thing, all these schemes of government, this is very important principle for all of us to know. Business principle. If a government is promoting something, for example, electric vehicles, there is a subsidy on each vehicle. So for example, I'm talking of commercial vehicles, right? For example, a bus carries a subsidy today in this PME drive scheme. A 9 meters bus carries a subsidy of 35 lakhs or 25 lakhs, and 12-meter bus carries a subsidy of 35 lakhs. And government is promoting all these 11,000 buses. Do you think it will sustain? That means, do you think that 11,000 plus numbers will start happening by its own? Why so? Any answer? So the fundamental is money goes where money grows. If the business is making sense, only then sales number happen. If business is not making sense, whatever be the government support, whatever be the government subsidy or incentive, businesses will not thrive. Are you with me? Two-wheelers do survive because iQube, very less price differential, but very efficient in driving. The operational cost is very less, while the capex cost is okay, right? So the people are picking up TVS. People are picking up these electric scooters, cars. But suppose the vehicle is too costly, and when we go and we think, no, environment first. 2.5 times cost, I don't have pocket. I'll take a loan for 10 years for a scooter. Do you think you'll do that? You'll only do, so the basic economic principles remain intact. That money goes where money grows. So if it is making a business sense, schemes do float and do take it forward. Two things more, and then I'll, complete. I'll not go into how we are running telematics and other stuff. Now, what is happening is, what are the unpredictabilities in this business? The dollar rate, the supply chain, battery, motor. Motor is still coming up. Batteries, we are working with Battery IQ. And now I'll tell you, before I conclude, something very, very special, which I only wish to tell in this closed room, that what we are going to do. Most of the questions will get addressed, what were asked before for charging infrastructure and other stuff. Let us take a case. The bus starts from Bangalore and is going to Hyderabad. I'm not taking Chennai, just two names, right? The bus starts from Bangalore and is going to Chennai. This point, the bus needs to be charged in between. What should we do? Charging station, right? At a place which is tier 3, tier 4 city, right? Even not Bagepalli. Lesser than Bagepalli. Am I right or wrong? At a place where people eat food or something like that, right? They have their snacks or something. Am I right in saying this? So the bus starts, people, ride, they're very comfortable, sitting in AC, lying in AC down, and now they're at this point. And the bus stops. 1 day, 2 days, 2 years, and the person says, I am the owner. You know how are we different? You know how are we different, Swami students? Because we work on ethics and basic principles of life. World doesn't behave like that. This person will say, he has the charger here, he'll be bringing his bus here, so my 100 rupees thali, I'll make it to 200 and decrease the standard to 50 rupees. Do you agree with me or not? This is exploitation, which is very common, right? Second point, the bus starts from Bangalore and there is a farmer protest in Bangalore, so the driver says, no, I cannot take this route because this is choked, I'll go from this route. Where is the charger? This point. What to do? The charger is, no, your point is valid, yeah, right? Your point is valid. The charger is 240 kilowatts. It's a huge infrastructure worth crores of rupees, and a 11 kVA line, very heavy line is there to pump it. How to move this? Cannot be. We can make a new one, right? Again, this farmer's protest stops. The bus starts from here. It is all about ROIs in business. The bus will again. So do you agree with me that the charging network has to be agnostic of a place or of a location? Do you agree with me? This is where they are supporting us and we are trying to build a system. So there will be something called as battery energy storage system, which will be carried on a vehicle. I'm not naming it's a truck or bus or whatever, railway. So so the highway is moving from this side. There will be a solar plant, what brother told, at this site, which is a bit cheap. It will charge a truck, and we will ask the bus owner, sir, where do you want to stand? At Chinnappa, site hours, or point X? If the bus driver says, I want your services at point X, the truck will come, he'll come there, he'll charge the bus, he'll go wherever he wants to. This is called as energy as a service. These type of concepts are evolving, and they will actually pave the way for the success of this country, because we have enough sunlight. We need to see from Indian perspective. We have everything. Now we want to execute this. My passengers should not suffer. My services should not hamper. And you tell me, have you not heard of protests and all that stuff? It happens every now and then. You come to Delhi, you don't know which road is closed today, which part of Delhi is closed today, what one part has to be. So this is how this system is taking shape. Before closing, 2-3 things for economics graduates. Risk analysis for long-term concession agreements is actually evolving as a big area of study. So risk analysis is something which is actually coming very effectively. Second, people are required in the industry who have commercial acumen as well as legal perspectives too. I'll tell you why. To protect the interests of the group you work for. You are signing a 12-year concession agreement. You should know what can happen when, and how should this paper protect my interests later on, which is called as a contract management, right? You should not know how to write a contract, but even if you want to interact with an advocate or a legal counsel, your input should be the right inputs. So first is risk management is something which is coming up very well. Second is business modeling is something which is coming up well. Third, AI has to be used, that is primary, but role of technologists. But where it has to be applied, how the connected infrastructure systems will work, supply chain. For example, someone has to see that if a bus comes in my workshop, and if I use the spare part, that the spare part should get replicated, right? Simple supply chain methodologies. For this, economic systems need to take shape now. They are there, but not so effective as of now in the country. So I'll not stand between you and Ganesh Visarjan much more, but 2-3 things. Because I'm the last speaker, so I take this liberty. 2-3 things which I want to share from professional domains, not related to automobiles. We'll have another session. I'll definitely request, sir, that we'll have in the classrooms in detail, because it has to be, we have to be very granular. Seriousness is sickness, what Bhagwan used to say. So wherever you work, whatever you do, remain happy. There is no need to be serious because there are many people who actually take load. So while I'm talking of rare earth metals, I think Mr. Narendra Modi is more serious than me. Is it not so? Or I should take whole load of the country and say, no, magnets are not there. Meri buses ka production ruk gaya. Should I do that? We should work. Second, wherever you work, work with passion and be granular. I'll give you an example. I was sitting with the president of my bus division around 5 years back, and he told me, Krishnam, while we go for a long-term concession agreements, how does an operator, derive its cost? कैसे पता लगता है कि मैं ये बस चलाऊं कि ना चलाऊं? I told sir, I have to ask someone, no, who operates these buses. He slammed his pen. He told, why can't you make it? And while I started making this, I realized there is no rocket science. Definitely it will evolve a period of time. I'll just give you an example. Asset, EMI, operations, so you divide into CapEx, recurring costs, XYZ, and you find, you refine it over a period of time. So whatever you do granularly. If you are reading about PMP, read it well. Connect it well with the system, what is happening around. If you're reading about PLI, read it well. Two things. And thank you at the end, because it was the last talk. I know I was standing, you were all eager to go to the hostel and celebrate the occasion. But thank you. Thanks a lot. Loving Sai Rams. Any questions, if I may take? Please.
Saram sir.
Sairam.
So now we know that government is focusing most on semiconductor industries, like improving, giving incentives to them. And does it have any impact on the automobile industry? Like, can it, or in EVs, can it reduce the cost of making EVs or something?
Very, very, very good question. So what is an EV? EV is a power system, battery, and a mobile station transmitting data. It is all semiconductors. While bringing semiconductors to India with this localization challenge which has come now, effective from 3rd September, semiconductors are an integral part. PCBs, printed circuit boards, they are also to be manufactured in India now and printed in India now for automobiles. And definitely it will have a direct impact, but not so much. It will have an impact, maybe around 10%, but not so much as a motor and a battery will have. But yes, it will have a direct impact.
Just wanted to check with you, what has been the industry experience of the government's PLI scheme for automobile industry? How, because it's another, I think, one more year to go, how has been the industry's experience?
Right, sir. Sir, in automobile PLI, we had three brackets, 13%, 18%, and it was linked to 2 or 3 things. One was the localization content in the vehicle, second was related to the sales, and third was related to the investments. So as a company, I'll tell you about us and Tata Motors. We had made the investments, our sales are on track, but PLI certification in itself is taking normally 1 to 1.5 years. I got my PLI yesterday, I'm happy to share. Now we'll get an incentive. But sir, what is happening is this whole process is taking a bit long. But sir, if targets are met, I think this is encouraging. Unfortunately, the PLI which is given to us, we as a business are actually thinking of setting off our investments versus the gains which we are making, and it is not passed to the customer. So that way the customer is not benefiting, but as a group, as a manufacturing boost, it is actually helping, sir.
Thank you.
Please.
I want to ask, you and Arun brother, both, really, it's a spark for me, I guess. How can we help to be in the industry, or how can we help, because we are the future of India,
Right.
how can we help to grow the battery sector and the EV sector especially? I just want to get what would be our role to be there or something?
So I take it as our responsibility first. This is our responsibility as a student from this university. This is our responsibility. While we have not thought much about it, But we really started thinking about it few days back, and I think Brother Aruni has actually taken some steps forward. But I think the industry engagement will only take this, because it has to evolve. So it is on us that how do we groom you? And there are some subjects which are evolving, as I told you, to train our own brothers in those aspects, so that we are ready to take the responsibilities as and when we go in various fields. And many of our students, so I'll just tell you one incident. Sani sir will be knowing about this. There is one person called as Dr. Satya Sai Prasad. His father was also an English professor here. So he's the mentor of Brother Aruni, and he works much closely, I work sometimes with him. He is the who's who of lithium-ion batteries of the world. 2008, American electric vehicle. He was instrumental, Motorola, LGU, name a company, the name is Dr. Satya Sai Prasad. Our own person, our own alumnus. But while we are sitting here, he is guiding so many companies across. I'll give you an example. We are trying to build something from China along with Battery IQ. Tata Motors is not able to do this. Dr. Satya Sai Prasad is being able to do that through his influence. So that means we have got a network. We just need to now synergize and see that what we can do. Sairam.
It was a very, very informative and insightful session by Brother Krishnam. I was just thinking, so Volvo Eicher, VE, is truly embracing the technology called EV, VE to EV. So he spoke about the dynamics of the EVs, the risks involved, and also those contract models which are very, very important from the economics point of view, which is the GCC, not the Global Capability Center, but the other, it is called gross cost contract, and also the alternative investment funds coming in AIFs, and also our Indian economy schemes, which are very, very important, PLI, PMP. And thank you so much for your thoughts, Brother Krishnam. So as we close this workshop, we have a pleasant duty to actually honor our esteemed speakers, and I would like to request Dr. Raghavendra Raju sir, Head of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences and Dean of Student Welfare, Institute of Higher Learning, and also Sri Sanjay Sahni sir, to give away few tokens of love to our dear brothers who have come all the way to share their thoughts on automotive sector. Now I call upon Sri Rangnath Raju brother. Now I request Lieutenant Colonel Sri Vivek Bhava brother to come over. We now request Mr. Aruni Kumar Mahapatra to come over to the stage. We call upon Sri Preeti Ranjan Satyadeep to come over. We request Krishnam to come over to the stage and take our token of love. Thank you, Raju sir and Sanjay Sahni sir, for doing the honors. So before we conclude with the Arati, we would like to propose a vote of thanks. For today's session, I request Dr. Rajiv Gurung, faculty member in Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, to propose a vote of thanks.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. On behalf of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for this national workshop on driving economic growth, policy pathways, and industry perspectives in India's automotive sector. First and foremost, we offer our heartfelt gratitude to our most beloved Bhagavan for being the infinite source of inspiration and guidance for all of us. Without his grace, nothing would have been possible. We are deeply grateful to our esteemed speakers for today, Dr. Rumki Majumdar, Sri Y. Sri Ranganath Raju sir, Sri Hemal Navin Chandra Thakkar sir, Sri Sandeep Raina, Lieutenant Colonel Vivek Pahwa, Sri Aruni Kumar Mahapatra, Sri Preeti Ranjan, and Sri Krishnam for sharing their valuable insights and perspectives on various topics ranging from macroeconomic resilience, EV technologies, defense applications of these technologies, then digital transformation and commercial trends. Your contributions have truly enriched our today's session. We are immensely thankful to our head of the department, Sri Dr. G. Raghavendra Raju sir, for being the single driving force behind the successful conduct of this workshop. We also express our sincere thanks to the director of the campus for graciously providing us with the infrastructure and the facilities for a smooth conduct of today's workshop. My heartfelt thanks also goes to our volunteer students who have efficiently assisted us in smooth organizing of this workshop. We are grateful to the university administration for supporting us throughout the sessions. Many thanks to Raghuram sir also for all the IT support and smoothly telecasting all the sessions on YouTube. Lastly, many thanks to all the participants for your enthusiastic involvement. This workshop has been a meaningful exchange of ideas and it has further strengthened or further made the bond between academia, policy, and industry stronger. Today's session has strengthened that bond. I'm confident that the learnings from this workshop will help us come up with new ideas, research, and collaborations in the times ahead. Thank you all once again. Sai Ram.
We request for the Arati to be offered to Bhagwan. Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Satya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshaka Bhakta Jana Samrakshaka Parti Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashivadana Shri Ikara Sarva Pranapate Swami Sarva Pranapate Ashrita Kalpalatika Ashrita Kalpalatika Apad Bandhava Om Jai Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivamu Mariyantayu Nive Swami Mariyantayu Nive Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagendra Shayana Om Jai Jagadish Hare Omkara Rupa Ojasvi O Sai Mahadeva Satya Sai Mahadeva Mangala Arati Anduko Mangala Arati Anduko Mandara Giridhari Om Jai Jagadish Hare नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय जय सद्गुरुदेवा ॐ शान्तिः समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. I request all the students to quickly go to the hostel, dress up, and you can join the procession. Follow these. Thank you.